What's up, y'all? This is Nick with From the Ground Up DIY, and today I'll be showing you how to create your own bed frame. So recently I had did some cleaning up under my bed, and while I was cleaning I saw that piece of wood was sticking out of my box spring, and I decided to take a closer look, and I found out that my box spring was broke. As you can see, there's multiple pieces of wood that's cracked, and also the bed frame that it's sitting on right now is real low to the ground, and some of the legs of the bed frame is not touching the floor. So instead of buying a new box spring and also getting a new bed frame, I decided that I was going to make my own that's set higher up and also that is more durable. For this project, I'm using 1 4x4 post, 4 2x4s, and 5 2x3s, and I also picked up some wood stain, which I'm going to talk about later in the video. First, I started by cutting my 2x4s to the right dimensions, and I looked up the average size of a queen size bed frame, and it's 5 feet by 6 feet and 8 inches. So for my 2x4s, I cut 2 of them to 5 feet and 3/4 of an inch. And for the other 2, I cut them to 6 feet and 10 inches. And I did mine a little bit bigger because my mattress is going to go inside the frame, and I wanted to have a snug fit around the mattress. Once I got done with all my cutting, I pulled out my drill and screwed all my 2x4s together into a box shape, as you can see here. Next, I began to do the cuts on my 2x3s, which I'm going to use for the slats of the bed frame. And for each 2x3, I cut it to about 4 feet and 10 inches. And once I got done cutting the pieces, I decided to put them inside the bed frame and tried to get the spacing right, as you can see here. And after playing around with it for a little bit, I ended up doing about a foot of spacing between each slat. Once I got all my slats in place like I wanted them to be, I grabbed my drill and screwed everything in place. I used 1 screw on each side, but you could use more, but I just used 1 and it was pretty sturdy. But just make sure that your slats are sturdy and nothing is loose or moving. Now that the outside frame is done and the slats are in place, we can move on to the legs of the bed frame. And for the legs, I cut up my 4x4 posts into 4 2-foot pieces. So to attach the legs to the bed frame, I decided to make a L-shaped notch in my 4x4 post. And when you do this, you want to make sure that you don't cut in too deep. You want to make sure that you measure the depth of your 2x4. And when you attach the leg to the frame, you want to make sure that the edge of your frame lines up with the edge of your leg. And I made the mistake by cutting in too deep, so the edge of my legs stick out a little bit further than the frame, but it still looks pretty good. But make sure you don't make that mistake like I did. Also, I used a 1/2 inch spade bit to drill a hole into my 4x4 post after I cut the L-shaped notch. And the purpose of this hole is to use a bolt, washer, and nut to connect the legs to the outer frame, as you can see right here. At the time when I was building, I wasn't able to get a video of me attaching the legs to the bed frame, but right here is just a video showing how it's supposed to be attached. I used the 1/2 inch spade bit also to cut a hole in the bed frame where I wanted my legs to go. And as you can see, I use a bolt, washer, and nut to attach it. The bed frame is almost complete. All we gotta do now is just sand it down and then hit it with some wood stain so we can have a nice smooth finish. For the sanding, I pulled out my orbital sander and I went over the entire bed frame with 120 grit sandpaper. And once I did the entire bed frame, I then used 220 grit sandpaper and went over it again. And when you're sanding, make sure that you take your time and go slow. And the more you sand, the smoother your surface is going to be, the smoother the frame is going to be. So make sure you take your time and don't rush it. For my wood stain, I decided to go with Minwax. I got the Minwax Pre-Stain, and then I also got the Minwax Gunstock wood stain. And I decided to go with the Gunstock color because I feel like it matches the closest with my hardwood floors, because I wanted my bed frame to match my hardwood floor, so this was the closest color I could find, so I decided to go with this. So when staining wood, you want to make sure that you use a pre-stain first. So I used my paintbrush and went over the entire bed frame with pre-stain, and I let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. And I repeated the same process with the actual wood stain. I had put it on there, and then I let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then any excess that was on there, I had wiped it off. And I'll say between the wood staining and the sanding, both of those took the longest. But you want to make sure that you take your time with each one of them, because you want a great product and you want it to look smooth and let it have a clean look. So make sure that you take your time and do it well. So once I got done applying the wood stain, I let the bed frame sit in the shed overnight, and in the morning I came out and brought it outside, and this is what it looked like. So once I got the bed frame into my house and into my room, I noticed a few modifications that I had to make. And for the first one, I noticed that on my mattress, the parts where I lay my head in and my feet at, they were sagging in a little bit, and this was because of the spacing that I did for my slats. So to fix this, I used some of the extra 2x3s that I had left over, and I cut two pieces. One where my head's supposed to be at, and the other piece for where my feet's supposed to be at, and I laid it flat, and I attached it to the legs of the bed frame, as you can see here. The next thing I noticed is that my bed frame wasn't as sturdy as I wanted it to be. So to fix this, I decided to apply some bracing to the bed frame. And to do this, I cut out 8 1-foot long pieces of 2x4s, and I cut them on each ends at 45-degree angles. And after I did that, I had got my pre-stain and my wood stain and applied that and let it dry for a couple of hours. And as you can see here, I used 2 pieces of 2x4 for each leg. And I attached the first piece to the bottom of the frame, going into the inside portion of the leg. And for the other piece, I did it on the inside of the bed frame and attached it to the wood I put down to support my head, and attached it to the inside of the leg. And I've repeated this process on all 4 corners. Using this bracing made the bed frame way more sturdy and kept it from moving as much. So that is it for this video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, like this video, and comment if you have any questions. I got a lot more DIY projects coming, and I'm also going to be doing fish tank videos too, because I got a new 75-gallon tank that I'm getting set up now, so I'm going to do videos on that as well. Until then, peace, many blessings, and I'll see y'all next time.